the testimonial. You made close to £1 million. You gave it all away. Jack Charlton.
It's a good idea at the time, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, it is an amazing story, and it's the reason I really want to talk about it. I mean, Jack Charlton, great quote. He said, "It made you a friend of everybody, but that's just who you are." You know, you were always going to do something like that because you're a good person.
Well, that was nice of him. Yeah.
Just tell us why.
Oh, well, I'll come back to me. Just reminded me of something there. Jack loved me that much. He called me Noel for the first 4 years. But anyway, he got to Niall in the end. Well, I'll tell you exactly how this happened. Sunderland had to give me a new contract, and the chairman wanted the fans to pay for it and said, "I'm giving you a testimonial." And I hadn't played 10 years, so I'd played 6 years, and what that meant was I would have to pay at the time 40% tax because I wasn't at the club 10 years. And anyway, I didn't think I deserved it because I wasn't at the club 10 years, and I felt that he was putting the onus to give me the pay rise that I needed at the end of my career, or that I deserved, because the thing was going so well with Kevin Phillips. And he buckled down and wouldn't move, and I said, "No, I'm not taking the testimonial." And in the end then he got my weekly wage up to where I wanted it to be at the time. And he then said, "What about the game?" And I said, "Well," I'll give the game away. Let's do something decent. And it was, he went, "Okay, yeah, we'll do the game as well." So that's how it was. Now, I wasn't prepared for it. I'd no committee. I'd done nothing. And somewhere, I think they'd asked on my behalf, they'd asked the FAI would Ireland play in a game before they head off to the World Cup for Niall, and they said they would, and then it got leaked at that end. And before I knew it, and I was not ready for it at all, Tony Blair, who was my local MP in Sedgefield, announced it in the House of Commons in the debate, and Bertie Ahern, who was the equivalent in Ireland, the Irish Taoiseach, did the exact same thing in the Irish Parliament.
So you can't go back on your word.
So there's no going back, and it got very big. And I have to be so grateful to a lot of people who helped me out. In particular, Barclays Bank. Barclays are big into football, as you know, and they had call centres in Sunderland, and they got people to work shifts to answer the call for people who couldn't attend the game, but who would get a non-attendance ticket if they gave £10 at the time. And where that came from, and I want to tell you where great things can come from. I got a letter from a Sunderland fan in prison, and he couldn't come to the game, but he had saved money, and he wanted me to put £10 towards. He gave me remember postal orders? Yeah. Gave me a postal order for £10. He said, "It's not a lot, but it's everything I have." He said, "If you could get me a non-attendance ticket that I could keep here in the cell." And from that I went, okay, well, can we do that elsewhere? And we got 35,000 non-attendance tickets because of a prisoner in cell throwing an idea out to us. So that those kind of things happened, and we got 35,000 on the night. So effectively we had a crowd of 70,000, and we got over the 1 million mark. And it was it all happened so quick. It was whirlwind. And the other thing I remember, because I was in such a hurry that day, I got done for speeding on the motorway. And I was saying will I tell this fella I'm giving £1 million away tonight? Like, would he let me off?
So your testimonial cost you money.
It did, and 3 points.
That's brilliant.
No, they were good days, yeah. And there was I think it was the first time ever that the police didn't have to police a game, that the Sunderland fans, the Ireland fans all went in the same end. It was a decent thing to do, yeah, and I was kind of delighted I did it. But had I not done it, and very, very important I tell you, had I not done it, I'd have probably got about 15,000 people, and I'd have had to pay 40% tax, and with the costs and all the rest of it, it just wasn't the right thing to do. So I don't feel I gave it away. I think something happened because I gave it away, and it got big. But it was grand, yeah.
It's amazing thing to think. You've been very humble about it.
No,
it's amazing.
Well, I'll tell you now. Do you know, you have to remind me something. I got a lovely kind of telegram from Sepp Blatter. I was like, "Oh my God, that's great!" And then about 6 months later, geez, I better throw that out, right?
Yes, right. Yeah.
Because of everything that was revealed about him. So it made a few sort of waves in the world of football, and it was the right thing to do.
And there was no gifting of, because I think at the time the way these things worked was players would get expensive gifts for turning up. Oh yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I think the players, might have been. I think some of the Chelsea players had got Rolex watches at a testimonial a week before, and someone said, what's Quinny going to give us? And I gave them a letter from a child in India thanking them for playing the game, that it meant they can go to school now. They would be children of sex workers in India. So kind of they're all scratching their head looking at me like, where's my Rolex watch?
Yeah.
But it worked out great. So we were able to give 100,000 to that. A group called Goal in India who were doing great projects in the streets of Calcutta. And we gave money to a hospital in Sunderland and money to the Children's Hospital and the Children's Hospital in Crumlin, where I grew up in Dublin. So it was grand. Everything was fine. And it all passed off great, but it wouldn't have worked. Great people helped me. But just that whole call centre thing and the way that that was an incredible
Brilliant.
sort of reaction, and that kind of summed it up. And who would have known, a guy trying to correct his life in a prison set the whole thing away, really, in my book. So you never know where there's goodness,
Tremendous story. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the World Cup 2002. So just for context for any younger listeners, Ireland qualified. It wasn't the greatest quality World Cup necessarily. South Korea made it to the semi-final, for example. Germany made it to the final, I think, and obviously Ireland drew with them in the group stage. So looking back, the Brazil side that won it, very, very good and probably deserved winners. But looking back, Ireland had a chance to probably go deeper into the tournament than potentially.
Yeah.
But before the tournament started, there was a training camp in Saipan, which, if you actually look on the map, is literally in the middle of nowhere. And I still can't work out why on earth it was chosen, but it was probably for peace and serenity and all that kind of stuff. And there was a row between Roy Keane and Mick McCarthy. And if Roy Keane had been playing in that side, then perhaps Ireland would have gone a bit further. I mean, so much has been written and said about the whole incident. Why do you think it became, and still is, by the way, because they're making a film about this?
That's right, yes. Steve Coogan's playing Mick McCarthy.
Steve Coogan's playing Mick McCarthy.
There's an Irish actor doing me. God knows what it'll turn up like. But anyway, I wish him well, whoever's playing me. Yeah, look, it hit us all like a ton of bricks at the time, and I think Roy had done an article criticising Mick, and somebody had sent the article out to Mick, and Mick called a meeting, and then after that, just it all bedlam, and none of us are ready for it. And to go back to your point, we had to galvanise, and we were in a bit of danger, because if we hadn't qualified for the next stage, it would have been a complete disaster. It was a very nearly complete disaster anyway. But to get the result against Germany, to score the late goal against Germany that brought us to the next stage where we end up, playing Spain then, that was kind of vital for those of us who were left. But in that game against Spain, and even as the game was going on, they weren't down to 10 men officially, but they had an injured player out in the wing. They'd used all their subs, and we had a spell of time, an injury time, where we were virtually playing against 10, and that extra time period, and I even remembered at the time, if he was around, we'd have got through.